Today's episode of FilmRiot is brought to you by Carbonite.
Today on FilmRiot, we invade the Avengers trailer.
War has started. And we are hopelessly outgunned.
Director Fury, I think it's time.
No, it's not!
Hit the thing!
Here with the mission, sir? Trying to get me back in the world?
Trying to save it.
Cheetah bag!
Doctor, I need you to come in.
What if I say
I'll
no?
persuade you.
What are you asking me to do? It's called the Avengers Initiative.
I thought I didn't qualify. Apparently I'm, what is it, volatile, self-obsessed, and don't play well with others.
I think they need a timeout.
Stop fighting!
How desperate are you? And you call on such lost creatures to defend you?
That's what we call ourselves, sort of like a team.
You guys!
Earth's mightiest heroes type thing.
We're not a team. We're a time bomb.
Welcome to FilmRiot, the show that takes mystery out of the effects and techniques to go to some of your favorite Hollywood films. I'm your host, Ryan. I really need to find time to cut my hair and shave because I'm tired of people randomly giving me dollars on the street. Connolly, I've always wanted to give this a shot. I love it when Oscars or MTV Movie Awards would put hosts into movies. It's always hilarious for me. So when I got this email, I wanted to green screen myself into footage from a film. What is the best way to do this? I was like, yep. And since we're all insanely excited about the new Avengers film, I was like, whammy.
Whammy wham!
We're gonna go through a few processes to get this done. First, how to properly shoot the footage. Second, keying. Third, rotoscoping. And finally, color correction. So first up, shooting. I grabbed the trailer off YouTube, then sat down and planned out where I wanted to place the guys in. After that, I grabbed screenshots of each scene that I will be digitally forcing them into. Now I can grab my iPad and use these screenshots for reference when setting up the lighting and angles for each one of my shots. So, take this shot for example. We have Josh as Captain America's alcoholic trainer. I mean, we didn't establish that, but I think it's like there in the undertone, you know? If we take a look at Chris Evans in this shot here, we see that the lighting is mostly soft with a harsh light coming from above and behind, which we can see from the hotspot on his back and on the post behind him and from the angle of the light in the back here. Now, I don't want to make Josh's lighting identical to Captain America since he's supposed to be standing further back than him. So I made the light a bit more sidled for Josh than we see on good old Cap since it feels a bit more realistic like this to me. Now, another thing to keep in mind is the height of the camera. From looking at the shot, we can see that the camera is just a bit above Captain America's shoulder. So I will try to replicate this angle for Josh's shot, again keeping in mind that he is supposed to be further back in the room.
No, it's not!
But now with my footage a shot, we move into After Effects. First thing I will do is mask my footage, so I'm only using what I need. Then I'll position Josh where I want him and do my keying. So as I've shown you before, I use and love Primat for keying. It's a fantastic piece of software from Red Giant. I won't show how to use it here since we already did that in this episode here.
Don't you remember?
The only thing I did different was to add an edge blur and set it to about 2, and then I completely left out light wrap every time I tried to use it. It just killed the effect and made the guy stand out too much. But now that I have it keyed, we have one major issue. Captain America's arm keeps moving in front of Josh, which does not make it look like Josh is behind him. Now usually I would just use the masking tool, but for how long the shot lasts and how much his arm moves, it would take forever and it would be very tough to get perfect. So instead, I will be using the Roto Brush tool. This thing is amazing. I loves it. Now, it isn't always the best thing to use. Sometimes it is better just to use the basic masking tool. So you have to gauge which one will be best for your use at the time that you're using it.
Slut.
To use it, first I will duplicate my footage, then click on the Roto Brush tool, then double click your footage, and now you will paint over the foreground areas you want to keep, and Roto Brush will automatically select things that are similar. Which when you use it on the right shot, it is surprisingly friggin' good. But now I will go frame by frame, painting over the foreground areas I want to keep, and Alt-click the background areas that should get masked out. For the most part, RotoBrush does a great job of getting this done for you, but there will be bits here and there that you're gonna need to paint over. But once you're done with that, move back to your main comp and move your RotoBrush clip above the one of Josh, and whammy, he is now behind Captastic.
Whammy wham!
So the last thing to do is color correct. For this, I drop levels on, then switch the project color space to red, then move the red controls in levels, and tweaked the parameters till Josh matched here. Then I did the same thing with the green and blue channels. After that, you get pretty close, but there's still a little bit more to be done. I added desaturation to my clip, then another instance of levels, and tweaked the highs, mids, and lows of the RGB until it matched as closely as I could get it. But that's it. Now Josh can go on with his personal training.
Test the thing!
Now I have a few other techniques that I want to show you guys, but first... Carbonite protects your pictures and other files from a computer crash, fire, theft, or when you accidentally delete a file by automatically and continually backing up your files and keeping them securely off-site. You'll never have to remember to back up again. Whether you have 1 or 2 computers at home or several computers at your small business, Carbonite is the better backup plan. Over 1 million customers trust Carbonite to protect their home and small business computer files with plans starting at just $59 a year. You can start a free trial at Carbonite.com with the offer code FilmRiot, and you'll get 2 bonus months if you decide to buy. That's Carbonite.com, and the offer code for 2 bonus months is a FilmRiot.
Logo.
Heyo! Oh, hey. So here's the next shot we are going to cover.
They need a timeout.
Stop fighting! The difficulty in this one is that we have to match the camera move of the original, but be not disheartened, my little platypus. It's actually really simple. But first thing is first, we have to get our shot. Again, I use a still frame as reference to make sure everything is lined up and to set my lighting. This one was even easier than the last since I only really had to worry about 2 lights, 1 bright backlight and then a soft light in the front as a fill. That's it. Now after that step, everything else is the same, including color correction, but now that I have Eris in, I have to make sure that he is attached to the camera move so it looks like he's actually in that scene and not just floating around aimlessly. So select the trailer of footage, click track motion, then select position and scaling, and I will pick 2 points on opposite sides of the frame for After Effects to track, and then I'll click track forward. Once it's done collecting the data, I will create a null layer and then apply the data to that null. Now, all I have to do is go to the first frame, position Eris exactly where I want him to be, and then parent his layer to the null layer. Now, my track wasn't perfect, so I did have to go frame by frame and make some tweaks here and there, but once you do...
They need a timeout.
Stop fighting! Now the last thing I wanted to show you guys, since I know I'm going to get a ton of questions of how we did it, is the face replacement. Now I'm going to go over this pretty quickly since I'm not fully happy with how it came out. It didn't fully fit. I mean, I think it's hilarious, which is why I used it, but the effect could definitely be better, so I will definitely be revisiting this in another episode at another time when we really nail it down. But for the time being, hey! This was pretty easy as well. I got a shot of Josh keeping his head as still as possible. After that, I placed his layer over the Tony Stark one, masked around the outline of Josh's face, positioned it over Stark, and then feathered the friggin' crap out of it. Next, I motion tracked Tony Stark's face by selecting his eye since it didn't move at all. Then I applied it to a null and paired Josh's layer to that null. After that, I just had to match the color as much as possible and
Bammy wham!
super, super simple. And again, I only gave this one because I know that you guys will definitely be curious. There is a much better way to do this, and I will be covering that in the future. Again, I wasn't fully happy, but I couldn't help but keep it in because I thought it was so freaking funny.
I've seen your pictures on the internet.
But that's it. That's how you can insert yourself into your favorite film. Now, the main things to keep in mind for the best effect are lighting, to make sure that you're matching the scene that you're trying to insert yourself into, and the camera angle and color correction. If any of those are off, the whole effect is ruined. Another thing to keep in mind is that if you can put your actor behind something in the scene or attach them to a camera movement, the effect will come out 10 times better. It's a great and easy way to really nail it. Now, before we close out today, I know a lot of you were hoping for an episode on how we did the skydiving effect, and I will definitely be doing that next week, but I held off since, I mean, come on. It's Avengers week. Can you blame me?
No.
Speaking of the Avengers, we actually just released a brand new show that I'm producing called Variant, which is a show about comic books. The first episode is actually all about the Avengers with the new host, Eris. You can find it right here. I freaking love it. I'm super happy with how it came out. The show just looks beautiful. Stark and even Tamalin worked on the graphics package, and they did an absolutely freaking gorgeous job. So check it out if you're even remotely interested in comic books. I think you guys are really, really gonna love it. But that is it for today. As always, you can Twitter befriend me here, and I'll see you guys next time when I get real interested in Brad's hamburger. I don't like you got some balls!